Hey everyone, James from TDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. So today I am doing a drinking Inbetweenisode, something that I did a little earlier in this year for one tea, but I'm doing it again for a different tea, and I'm doing a deep storage checkup, grabbing something out of the Eurocave. So going to get in there now, and first I'm going to show you the footage of me choosing what to grab from there. Alright, we're going to go into the Eurocave now and find a tea. Alright, so we've got a lot of stuff here. Want to find something suitable to drink that maybe I haven't had in a while. Which, let's see. Yeah, it's been a while since I've come into here. So here we got some Ching Tung, which is a tea I have pretty regularly. I also want to grab something that I don't drink often, so that one would not be great. And that I've also had for a while. So let's see if we can find something. And okay, so over here, this is, I believe, my cake of 2006 pink. So maybe that's a good option. I think I've done that one a couple times before though, so maybe we should try something else. I do have a couple of loose, what are these? Okay, no, I have not had those very long. Part of the problem is a lot of the teas that would be suitable kind of in the back, and I don't really want to go in the back. I would rather grab something closer. Okay, I've had that just a couple years too. Okay, same with those. It's a little harder than you'd think. I've had these just a couple years as well. This is the Dachshund Gushu I had pretty recently. Looking good. So let's see what's in some of these. Okay, so something like this could be good. I bought this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it's an '01 red mark, so let's go for that. So I ended up picking this 2001 Hongyin cake. It's a tea I actually do have access to in my chefmate, but I wanted to see what the storage was like from the big Eurocave, my deeper storage, so I did open up a new cake and just kind of carved out one session, put it back in there. So the goals are basically to see how this tea in particular is aging, and also to see how the Eurocave is doing. And one thing that I'm pleased about is that you open up the Eurocave, it smells nice, the parameters look good, keeping at like low to mid 60s as far as the relative humidity. For me, I'm pretty much okay with anything within the 60s, probably upper 60s are a little more optimal, but I'm not too particular. And the summer is really when the fragrance comes out. And another thing I'm happy about is this is the second steep I've done. It has a really nice aroma, very perfumey, aromatic coming off of this. So if you have had experience with kind of like tea that's been a little dried out, things like that, you really lose a lot of that vibrancy. So this tea is, as far as I can tell, plenty vibrant and stuff like that. So that's something I am happy about so far, and that was consistent also with the Dachshund Gushu, which is the other tea I pulled out. So unlike that tea, I didn't buy this tea fresh. That tea was 2015, so the majority of the storage had been done, has been done by me. This tea, on the other hand, I bought in 2016. I had in my notes that it, smells like Taiwan. It was bready, dry wood, leathery pavement. I would say that this time it's still pretty woody. But it has like this kind of like ripe cherry note, and actually I do have that in my notes here too. So in terms of like evolution, something like the Dachshund Gushu, which aged from like, let's say, half a year to 8 years, certainly would evolve more than something like this, which has aged, in my storage, from 15 years to 22 years. Not to say that those 7 years or so would be insignificant, but yeah, let's get into tasting this tea and see how it does. This tea is very tippy, which would mean it's pretty sensitive to brewing and things like that. Since I opened up a new cake, we have the fortunate part of not having too much dust, but that's certainly something that you're going to run into as you get into like fairly compressed tippy teas, and you kind of drink them to the end. Cheers. So it's very sweet, certainly not overbrewed, which is nice considering it's brewing like this very orange-red color. Still definitely has some astringency to there, kind of on the back end. So the dryness at least comes sort of towards the finish. At first it's like more juicy. Yeah. And it has, I would say this is a tea that just has nice flavors up front. It's very forward in a way that I think sometimes tippy teas are. So we're going to continue to keep these steeps pretty light. So let's see what color we're getting. This is just a steep number 3. I did boil that water right before hitting record. The body is kind of as I expected, a little on the thin side, but you know, I think that's kind of in the nature of this tea. This is not like a full, rich, full-bodied tea. It's a tippy tea, so you're looking for something that's a little, it's a little different, yeah. But it does kind of have that sort of characteristic, really fullness, well, not fullness, but really rich flavor and stuff that you would kind of expect. Yeah, one that I thought I might run into when I went into the Eurocave was the 0622, which I think might age similar to this. I think that might be blended with a little more material rather than just the tips. But yeah, this is quite interesting to try. I would say, compared to the notes at least that I have here, that the woodiness is maybe perhaps a little bit reduced. I'd still say it's a pretty woody tea. I also had here in my notes that it was like sort of leathery pavement. I can sort of get those vibes, but I wouldn't say they're front and center. And if I was tasting this without looking at my previous notes, I doubt I would describe it as leathery pavement. So that's kind of an evolution of flavors too. I would not say that this tea has become extremely bassy or low noted. Something like the Dachshund Gushu, it kind of shaved off those sort of top notes that you would expect there. This tea, when I had this when I was like 14, 15 years old, already had those sort of top notes shaved off, so it didn't kind of evolve in that same manner. Cheers. So building in intensity, pretty full flavored right now, and it really is kind of that rich fruit wood vibe, and it's a little different than kind of like the fruity vibes that you're going to get from like a Monghai Tea Factory semi-aged tea. Like a 754 can certainly get fruity at times, but I think that's a little bit more in kind of maybe the juicy apricot vibe. This one, I guess it's still stone fruit, but a little more cherry-ish for sure, and quite interesting. So one of the downsides for having a tea that you don't drink very often is it's hard to say how much it's improved. I'm going to say that this tea is still pretty, you know, it's relatively in kind of the same ballpark of tea. I think it's quite solid, and I think for me at least, part of the thing that's going to be really interesting to see how this tea evolves is just because it's very tippy. And I don't have a lot of tippy teas that I'm storing, at least teas that are like very, very tippy, like this one. It's probably this and the 0622. So in that sense, it will be interesting. It certainly has a different profile than a lot of the different teas that I'm having, but overall I'd say it's a relatively well-rounded tea that I do enjoy drinking. I don't have this super often, even though I do have access to it in here, which is one reason why I thought it'd be okay to try. It's not something like the Love Forever Paper Tong, where opening something from the Eurocave would be not as informative, just because I am having that tea once every 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, I think this is a worthwhile try. I'd say it's progressing. I'm satisfied with its progression. And we'll have to kind of retry this. I probably wouldn't be opening a cake of this at the pace I'm going through it, probably for another 5 years or so. So it will be interesting to see once it's that age. So right now this tea is 22 years old. And I'd say firmly put this still in kind of like a semi-aged profile, where, you know, it certainly doesn't taste like a young tea, but it has some room to certainly change and evolve. There's still some astringency to kind of convert. It could get smoother, things like that. I do think this tea is probably likely still very sensitive to the brewing. I'll do one more steep here too. Some of that astringency is also still a little sour, sort of on the finish there, so it kind of can have that sort of sour cherry vibe to it too. I don't think it seems plenty juicy, so in that sense I'm pretty happy that it hasn't dried out at all. Okay, and we'll go to steep number 4, and yeah, I'd say this tea is definitely drinkable now, but hopefully something that would continue to improve in the next couple of years. And the sweetness, it does really kind of coat the mouth, so that part is nice. So the aftertaste, while it does, it's kind of sweet at first, kind of converts to that astringency and sourness, and then a little bit later sort of gets sweeter again. So you can see already the color is lightening up, so probably at a point now where I'd want to push just a little bit on those steeps. And one nice thing with these tippy teas too, for me at least, is they're kind of like nice. You can have 8 to 10 steeps of it and you're pretty much done. They're not like super long longevity teas, which is good or bad depending on what you're after. If you have the time for sort of like longer sessions, or you want to be sipping something throughout the day, perhaps something with longer longevity is better. But I think for me, I find more times than not, I want something where I don't need to drink a huge amount of liquid throughout the day in order to kind of fully experience the tea. So in that sense, this one is nice. Something like a 7542, I think I would probably still have to continue to brew this sort of at like lower intensity for a couple extra steeps, just because this is so tippy and because it came apart so easily too. So I wasn't brewing particularly large trunks at all in this, so almost in loose form. Cheers. Yeah, and I think the thing that most people are just going to catch is that really upfront taste. It really is quite forward in that sort of basic sour cherry profile. And yeah, quite nice. Okay, so I am going to give this tea a 6.2. I think that's fair. I'm not actually sure exactly how that compares to other things, but it's relatively solid. Could it be better? Absolutely. I don't think this tea is ever going to be amazing, but I think it's a pretty good tea that I think will hopefully improve just kind of continuously as we start to evolve. I would expect teas like this to go through less sort of awkward periods at this point and just hopefully a little bit more of a linear progression. So we'll be certainly curious to try this cake again, hopefully when I finally finish the cake that's in my more accessible Pomodoro in probably 4 or 5 years. Let me know if you found this episode interesting, if there's other aspects you'd like me to cover when I kind of dig these teas out from storage. Let me know how you like kind of these deep storage Eurocave episodes. I had a lot of requests for more of those after I filmed the Dachi and Gushu episode, so I'm certainly curious, and I'm certainly happy to kind of dive into that more deep storage if that's something that you guys want to see. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Cheers.